You're listening to 90 Day Soulmate with the Relationship Engineers, Jim Gulnick and Lisett Guevara, only on LA Talk Radio.
Welcome to 90 Day Soulmate with Lisett
and Jim.
Today is a special day. Today's a day that I have no idea what's happening. Lisett will ask questions, and I'm going to answer them, and you get to witness firsthand.
Yeah, because he don't know what is the question. So that is the secret, that you have a number.
I feel so unprepared.
That is good. That is the plan. What is your funny deal breaker in your relationship?
Funny? Mm-hmm. Funny deal breaker.
So what kind of funny stuff you break up with somebody? In
the past?
In the past.
Or in the future?
Can be. That is funny.
Right now. This is it. Thank you for watching 90 Day Soulmate.
With Lisett and Jim.
It used to be. With Lisett and Tony.
Because we break up.
The funny breakup. Let's see, funny. Well, so funny break. I don't know if
what kind of excuse you use when you want to break up with somebody that you remember? It's not you, it's me.
Oh, well, it's not you, it's me. Well, there's been a few. One is moving. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm about to move. Like, I met somebody, and I won't say that I actually moved in order to break up with someone.
So
that would be funny.
You don't use the excuse when you
I got to move
and then
for work away from here.
And literally you move, but you don't have a job.
I had no job. Just find a job somewhere else. In actuality, I did move during a relationship. Okay. Part of it was the relationship was not going well.
Okay.
And it was really hard to figure out how to break up. It's actually in the story of it, or part of the story of it, is in While Victoria Dreams. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the breakups in there.
Which one wife? The number 25?
Oh, it's one of. I think it was the number 3.
Okay.
Number 3 wife.
So you say that. Tell a little bit.
But the story is that the relationship's not going well. I try to break up. I try to break up, and then she encouraged us to talk to some of the people at our church and friends. And there's this ongoing process of meeting and discussing and how important it is to stay together. And at that point in time, I had decided I wanted to leave. But because of all these people that I cared about her, I cared about the family. Mm-hmm. But the relationship was so distraught, so not going well, that basically we were just kind of living together. But there was no real relationship. I wasn't trusted. I felt like it wasn't going to get any better. So part of this not being trusted is I, in reality, found a job in a different state. So from Pennsylvania, I found a job in Texas, and I thought, I have to take this job in Texas. And because it's, I have to go, this is a perfect time to split up. Sometimes a relationship doesn't work out, and that you can do that in a way that allows each to find somebody that they love.
Okay, good.
So that's question 1.
Question number 1.
Again, I'm not sure that was so funny. It was not funny at the time, but looking back, I think for someone else, if they find you actually moved from Pennsylvania to Texas in order to break up.
Okay, so the next question is, what is one embarrassing moment in your life that you cannot forget?
Embarrassing moment in my life that I can't forget. That's a good question.
Okay.
By the way, when you don't know how to answer a question,
it's because you
repeat.
Forget.
You repeat. No. This is how you answer a question, especially like when the police are interrogating you. Not that I've had experience with that. 1 or 2 times. You repeat the question back. Or your wife's interrogating you. Where were you? the point would be is that where I'm going with this is answering a question. You re-ask the question. It gets you time to think about it. It takes the shock value of the question off. By restating the question, you're telling your brain itself what the question is, because your brain has this great capacity to give you information. So going back to the question, what was it again? An embarrassing moment?
Yeah, that you'd never forget, but I guess you forget because you don't remember.
So this is a relationship embarrassing moment. So I'm at college. My parents have this vacation home that's 100 miles away from where we live. And you know the story. So the story is at college. I think either a freshman or a sophomore at college. I have this new girlfriend who I want to have a nice physical weekend with. So
Yummy.
I take her all the way to this vacation home for the weekend, figuring, it's in the middle of the year. It's not during the summer. It's near the beach, so it will be fine. So we're there in the vacation home, and I thought it'd be romantic to put some blankets and pillows in front of the fireplace and have a fire and be there with this girlfriend and enjoy. And as we're there, and we wake up the next morning after we've spent the time together, with a bottle of wine in front of the fire and being intimate. There's this sound on the driveway, and there's stones on the driveway, so you hear, there's a car coming. Must be the person who just checks on the house. No problem. Then I hear a key go into the door, and the door opens, and we're there in front of the fireplace in the living room, and it's my parents walking in. One, they don't know I'm there, but I guess when they saw my car in the driveway, they had a clue. And the embarrassment is it was nothing was everyone was naked. My parents.
That is embarrassing.
That would be embarrassing.
Yeah, because my parents.
My parents showed up naked because they wanted the house to themselves for the weekend.
I see.
No, that was not it. But there wasn't much discussion. There was just like, hello. We grab our stuff, get in the car, and go. What do you say? So that was that I remember. I remember that one.
Okay, number 3.
Her name was Tracy, by the way.
Okay, so let me put
Tracy, if you're out there, I really apologize.
She don't remember because she not feel embarrassed.
She did it on purpose, I know it.
Okay. What was your first impression of me?
First what of you?
Impression
of you.
When we met.
So let's talk about how we met. So we meet at a Starbucks in Texas, Dallas area. What was the actual town called?
Irving,
Texas. We meet at a Starbucks. Well, let's go backwards in time. On the internet, when we're getting to know each other, is that we met on Plenty of Fish, plentyoffish.com. And at the time, Lisett was pretty explicit in what she wanted, expressive in what she wanted in a relationship. She talked about herself. She didn't say where she was from, but it was implied that she was, English was not her first language.
Oh, really?
And there was a picture of her with a big down jacket on in front of these tall buildings, and I guess with snow. And I'm thinking, she's Russian, or she's from one of these Baltic countries where there's, and so I'm thinking, okay, English isn't her first language. She's from here. She's engineer, so I'm thinking, engineer. So this is all making some sense. I'm creating this
This is your impression. Okay.
So
when you saw me, say, no.
But the impression is I meet Lisett, and she's very pretty. She's very, and I don't want to use the word strong looking, like, strong, but she's carries herself well. And we meet in the coffee place. And the way I put this together was the Starbucks where we were meeting was right next to an Indian restaurant. And I thought, well, if the Starbucks meeting went well, we could have dinner at the Indian restaurant. And I think I said that in the invite. So we sat and we had a nice conversation over coffee. We discussed her business. Her business was, and is, it's auditing companies in their business for quality management, environmental, different things for ISO. So we discussed her business, her website. She was trying to do things in the United States. We had this great conversation, and I remember just staring at her, and I don't want to use stare, but looking at her eyes here. And all of a sudden, while we're talking, everything goes fuzzy except for her eyes, and I see her eyes clearly, and I'm going, okay, there's something here. We talked about being business or pleasure. It seems like it can be a little bit of both. And so I abruptly ended the date because I didn't want it to be
no Indian food.
No Indian food for you.
Just coffee for you.
no
and
soup
so
for you.
I was so hungry. See, what happened with this guy?
The point was that I had been in many, many instances so emotionally tied up in physical relationships where you get to know somebody physically really quickly. And I didn't want that in this relationship. And you're like, oh, why? Why not this time? You know, but because of the multiple relationships in the past that had challenges that started very strong in a physical, but not in a conversational way. This was starting off differently. And so the impression was when I saw you and I saw that there was what I felt a connection beyond just chatting, I wanted to make sure I took it slowly by ending the date, which may have confused you a little bit as we've talked about.
Yeah, I am already now.
You're still confused?
You're still confused 12 years later.
So we haven't ended the date, but we've just delayed different dates periodically in order to get to know each other first. Yeah. So my impression of you was independent. You're here in the United States seeking business for your company, where, again, English was not your first language. Now I believe it's your first language, your shared first language.
Your third language.
Your third language. And that was a certain amount of strength to come and commit to moving and buying a townhome in the U.S. with the goal to build business as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And that to me, the impression I had was you're very unique.
Good answer.
Well, when we come back on 90 Day Soulmate, I will be hit with more questions from the lovely Lisett that I have no idea where we're going in this conversation. But hope you're enjoying. We'll be back after this message. "90 Days Soulmate" is brought to you by 90 Days Solutions. Welcome back to 90 Days Soulmate with Lisett.
And Jim.
The interrogation continues. Something that I want to share with our audience is that what we're doing right now, turns out to be a good way to get to know each other and better and deeper. Is instead of just talking about the everyday things and the everyday actions that you do with work, with home life, with kids and stuff, is thinking deeply about maybe things in your past, in your partner's past, and asking questions and allowing to dive deep, if I can say that, dive deeply into what's under the surface. So you're finding out more about their character, their upbringing, how, maybe they're friends, like who was your best friend and why, and what did you guys do together, like stuff like that. You can probably come up with your own list of questions or look on the internet like we did to find out what would be some interesting questions. When I say we did, not me at all, what Lisett did. So we're back on track.
Okay.
Next question, but I highly recommend this. I have no idea where we're going, and I hope you follow along.
Maybe that you're talking about friends. Now I like this question. Say, I don't remember which one, but it's about who was the first person that you shared when you meet me?
Who did I share with about you? Well, actually, it was the 3 other women that I was supposed to be dating that weekend.
Okay, but that is a general person. Just
It is
about me.
But what's interesting is I had no relationship with these three women. The weekend we met, I had a date lined up with Lisett on I think was it Thursday evening, Friday evening.
Friday.
Anyway, it was Friday. I had another date set for Saturday, another one for Sunday morning, and then I think I had a fourth one set up. That there were these 4 initial dates set. And I met Lisett first. It just so happened to be that way, and had this experience with her. So she didn't know this, but at the time I then called, emailed, tried to get in touch with the 3 other women that I had plans to meet for the first time, and canceled the meeting. Hey, I met somebody that I just met, and I want to continue getting to know her better, which is kind of odd in a way, right? So like the first meeting, you're like, oh, I don't want to meet anyone else. I'm just going to focus on Lisett. But I had this, I don't know, maybe it's a guilt complex that I don't want to be seeing 4. Like when we decided we were going to see each other again, or at least in my mind, I thought I want to see her again. I didn't want to have other potential relationships going on. It's not like I was 18 and I wanted to date 8 different women at one time, and I never did then either. No, I didn't.
20.
No, I never did. Okay. And so when I met you and knew I wanted to see you again, I immediately, that next day, broke off all my dates. Now, one person I couldn't get in touch with, and I didn't want to just leave a message. I needed to talk to the person. So I actually went and met them at a different Starbucks in a different area of Texas. But I sat down and I said, hey, this is what's going on. Just want to be upfront. I met somebody. I couldn't talk to you ahead of this date. So here we are. We can have a cup of coffee together, but I'm going to be dating this or getting to know this other woman, Lisett.
The
Russian woman, because I was scared. I was just very scared.
And you follow the scary stuff.
Oh.
But what is the person that you share about?
So you talk about beyond that, you go, okay,
yeah.
Let's see. So maybe it would have been work. And I think it's tough because now this is like 12 years ago, isn't it?
I remember.
13 years ago.
I told you.
You remember who I said something to, or who you said something to?
No, you told me that you shared with somebody.
That'd be interesting. Maybe you need to tell me, and then I got to remember the context.
It's one friend.
One friend.
Jim.
Really?
Yeah.
I shared with Jim that I met Lisett.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you shared in Facebook, and I checking. I remember this is almost like the.
Wow.
Yeah.
I need to go back in my Facebook posts and see what I posted back then.
No, you don't post. You just told me he's my friend, Jim, and I talking about her, about you with him.
Oh.
And yeah.
Well, good. Well, that was the first to know. Jim, if you're out there, you're the first to know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gym trainer.
Can I ask you who did you speak to first?
Carmen.
Carmen, of course.
Of course.
Your friend in Texas.
Yeah. We're talking about you immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah.
I don't know who this guy is, but I'm going to see him again.
Yeah, because he reviewed our website for business.
And I have no money to pay him, so I have to date him again.
A couple keys. Yeah.
And then I have to give change.
Yeah. He's so bad, the kid. Come on.
No, because you were paying me for doing the website review.
Yeah.
And you kissed me, and it was worth so much, I had to give you change. Okay. It was a compliment, Lisett.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry, no speak English.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the next question is...
Yes, my dear.
Okay. Would you ever consider a long-distance relationship?
Are you suggesting something?
We are.
I have to move. Are you moving? Are you moving?
I'm moving again. I can't tell you, but I have to working on a country.
Yes and no. Like if you know it's temporary, the long distance relationship, then it would have been something that I would have considered. You know, so you know that you can focus getting to know somebody with the idea that if it works out, you'll figure out how to be together. The challenge of a long-distance relationship is that, I believe, that there's this, you paint a picture of expectation in your mind. You also have the distance and the separation, which makes you long for each other more. So when you get together, you can have these very, thunder and lightning types of moments where you're just having such a great time. Then you go away and you miss each other and you come back again and again and again. Completely different than spending 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with someone. Mm-hmm. So even though it would be a way that, hey, yes, let's do this because I really like you and let's continue to have this long-distance relationship, you may have a really good long-distance relationship that could potentially turn into a bad short-distance relationship once you spend all that time together and it's so easy. Because imagine it's like, Friday night, what are you doing? You're doing this, you're doing that. Great, I'll talk to you Sunday. But now if you're living in the same town, what are you doing Friday night? I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Okay, when you're done, why don't you pop over? Oh, now the pressure's on. And
it's crazy. Yeah. I have one in the past and no work.
One of those 300 gentlemen?
One of these. No, the 299 was another mistake. Yeah, but this is something, I guess mentally you feel like that is something that not go too long term, but maybe you keep, like you say, for emotion that you see somebody occasional,
Well, let's say you do business and you're always going to San Francisco and you have a friend or you met somebody there, and every time you go there you get to date, you spend time with them, and you know what, you're busy in your life, you're busy in business, maybe you're not looking to start a family, but you're like, this is enough of a relationship. So I can have the relationship, I can have a single focus, but I don't have to do more than that. And so I think sometimes a long-distance relationship can be that way. The other is maybe you already got to know the person locally, and then they have to move to Texas. And you say, let's have that relationship. I know that when we met, I moved to Alabama.
Yeah, you tried to escape.
I tried to escape.
And I catch it.
But that was actually not in an effort to get away from Lisett.
Mm-hmm. No, that is interesting because for me, always, I not create the separation, but I say, okay, the destiny, the person live in other state, so that is the end. And also I feeling when you told me I move, I say, okay, that is done, because...
Who told you not to give up? Who said...
Carmen.
Carmen, thank you, Carmen.
Yeah, Carmen say, Lisett, stop to focus just on work. And if he move, why you don't move with him? And I, in my mind, no. I will move with some crazy guy.
so maybe it will work out.
We figure out.
We'll try to figure it out. Okay, so
this is the question.
Long distance relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Plus or minus. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Actually, someone just send us an email. I'd love to hear what you think about long distance relationships.
Yeah, maybe
they can be exciting. I believe they can be exciting, especially if you do a lot of travel.
Okay,
right.
So the question is, if you could be an expert in any subject, which one is?
If I could be an expert in any subject, what would it be? What would it be? Wait a minute. Are you telling me I'm not an expert in any subject right now?
No, I know, but I want to see yourself. You see yourself.
That's interesting. If I look at business engineering processes, I think like what I do sometimes in my other work realm, that I think I'm an expert in putting processes together, figuring out the equipment, the people, the process, the SOP, all the things that need to be done to make this thing flow well. So I think like that would be an area, and that would be an area I'd want to do, even say more in. I know one of your thoughts were, material science, learn more about material. I've developed a couple of different inventions that are used where I work for the material we do. We do decorative glass, And I have developed some mounting systems. So if you look me up and mounting systems, you'll find some systems I've developed. So I don't know if I'm really an expert in that. I think sometimes expertise comes from just like, chipping away and chipping away and chipping away and trying something. And when it doesn't work, changing it and changing it. And a lot of times that's what I do. It's like I don't feel like I'm an expert in a mounting device, but I think I may be an expert in processes to try to develop something. Like draw something, then draw it in 2 dimensions, and then bring it from, like if you know how I take something from AutoCAD in 2 dimensions and I bring it into SketchUp. And in SketchUp, you can take things and draw them, and then you can drag them, basically extrude a 2-dimensional object into 3 dimensions. And then you can connect them to other 3-dimensional objects, see how they fit, how they work together. And so, again, I guess maybe it's the process, the expertise in how that process is, but not the other stuff. And maybe that's one of the areas. So
the people say that you become expert in something when you spend more than 10,000 hours doing this stuff. So you feel that you have in one of these areas 10,000 hours?
Exercise. No, I mean, that is one. That's one.
Maybe work is more. So
yeah.
You see 10,000 hours, how many years?
That's 5 years, right?
Okay,
so it's
5 years doing the same
if
stuff.
you do 40 hours a week, right? 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week. In a year, that's 2,000 hours. In 5 years, if you work on something in a group of technology, or say you're in accounting or accounts billable or customer service, anything, that after that amount of time, if you are growing and learning, and part of that is like, one of the things that I always did was like, I try to read a book on something and take notes and highlight stuff.
Practice, yes.
And learn stuff.
Yeah, and learn. So good.
And I like Google too. It's like today with Google, all the stuff like I did 30 years ago with reading books and listening to cassette tapes, you can do by going on Google and reading and learning and watching YouTube videos. Got to be careful though. Make sure that they're not misinformation.
Yeah, sometimes.
Or bad information.
So, do you think you are more introvert or extrovert?
Introvert.
Why?
I many times prefer just being quiet and being by myself, even though it might sound like I like being in front of people. That I think it's that I am, and I've told you this, as a child, I was really shy. I didn't like looking people in the eye. I had a hard time communicating with people. I had a hard time making friends. I had some good friends, but and I think I was generally liked. Like my goal when I was a kid was not to be disliked, rather than have really deep friendships, which I feel like a lot of my friends had really deep friendships with other friends. I felt like my goal was just to be liked by everyone, and maybe when you're liked by everyone, you're loved by no one. Something like that. So sometimes you have to take a stand. You have to have an opinion. You have to, if you're afraid to take an opinion because you don't want to isolate somebody, right? You don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, so you don't take any opinion. So everyone thinks that everyone doesn't dislike you, but no one says, hey, they're just like me. And so, but going back to your question, introvert, extrovert. Extrovert, like I wanted to do a lot of acting and music, which you would say, oh, that's extrovert. But I would do it because I wanted the feedback of like, oh, you did a good job, you did well. Even in athletics, you do athletics hard because you want to do well. And it was more of a feedback loop that I would do things to get feedback.
Or recognize your effort, you think?
Recognition of effort, sure. But the introvert is when you think a lot. And I think I always thought a lot. I think of what others think of me. And so now you act based upon what others think of you. And your own control is based upon what others think. And that's probably not so good. You need to have your own, I'm just very strong in what I believe. And I think you become more of an extrovert when you really believe in what you believe rather than how others see you. So maybe it's a combination, is that I became an extrovert in certain areas in order to get feedback that said, oh, you did a good job.
I agree.
Introspection.
Yeah. How was our time?
Oh,
we have a break.
When we come back after this break, we're going to have some more of the Lisett Inquisition, otherwise known as the Spanish Inquisition, done by this lovely lady here. We'll be back in a moment. "90 Days Soulmate" is brought to you by 90 Day Solutions. Welcome back to 90 Days Soulmate with Lisett
and Jim.
Today, Lisett's asking me random questions that I need to answer about different things. One of the things you just asked about is like, what would I want to be an expert in? Mm-hmm. Or so a lot of like what we're doing now with psychology and in the brain is like, I'm thinking about, we've learned about the prefrontal cortex. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, bring the brain over here. Let's see if we can do this with dropping it. So we've learned about the prefrontal cortex, the amygdala, which is in there, and different things, different parts, and we're learning more about this. No way are we experts at all, but we're what's the word? Curious. Yeah. And we're curious into understanding more about ourselves, how our brains work, because part of what we're doing here in 90 Days Soulmate is all about psychology. So asking what we want to be experts in. So let me go back to that story of 90 Days Soulmate. We wrote this book in 2011.
Yes.
2011, 12 years ago. When we wrote the book, we did a publicity tour where we were on radio and we were on TV, and we had our ad in the back of airplane magazines. Like if you were flying on American Airlines or going somewhere, you could see us in an article talking about 90 Day Soulmate. We're now being interviewed on the radio and TV by various people. One of our first interviews is with two psychologists.
I remember.
And the psychologists were asking questions, psychology related, about our book and why a gringo and a Latina would think that we would get along. And we started, there's a struggle where your brain is trying to answer the question, and we just answer honestly, based upon what we feel, based upon our engineering background, based upon the process that Lisett put together. And we got through the interview, and that's when I decided I wanted to go to school or back to school for psychology. So I went in doctorate level courses for my doctorate in psychology in industrial and organizational psychology. So I took all my courses in that. I don't have my PhD, just want to be upfront, but I took all the courses, all the college courses for that. So the expertise isn't, again, in psychology. It's in the determination of what you think you need to know more about a subject in order to talk about it. We talk about, what is that called? Evolutionary psychology, evolutionary biology. We talk about the prefrontal cortex. We talk about cognitive behavioral therapy. We have to learn about that in order to present it. So our expertise now is finding a subject that we want to talk about, doing research in that subject, doing a presentation, and then Sunday putting together a show based upon hours and hours of research, looking at research papers, looking at actual textbooks, and real data on the brain and on emotions and on relationships. So if you go back to what I want to be an expert in, is the expert in compiling information to be able to present it in a way that's understandable. And so I think the expertise in presentation and in research, rather than just rote knowledge in, this is the brain, and this is what this hemisphere does, and this is how the visual works with, remember we did the one on visual and language, like being able to see objects, language versus different things, and how that changes.
No, so I feel like the responsibility, if you have some knowledge, is try to translate and use some kind of easy way to the people understand. Because maybe the people don't like to read a book. Maybe people prefer to listen a show or watching a movies, and that is other way to learn.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess the society right now is more by this way, and maybe we can become like the interpretation of the knowledge and try to put an easy and attractive way for people.
Interpretive dance of psychology.
Yeah.
Silly dance of psychology. The point is, yes, being able to present things to people in a way that is entertaining, hopefully, fun. We enjoy it. We enjoy this.
No, so I feel that this book, when we make, is because I feel so happy with you. And I like that people can find the soulmate. So if it's a recipe, a procedure that you can do, and now we have many people send email, letters, stuff, comments, say thank you, I am Mary, with a wonderful person. We see we doing something for others.
Right. And even though this contains a lot of psychology in it, it was written by engineers, information engineers, electrical engineer, business, MBA, all that. That we wrote it based upon.
Makes sense for us.
It had to make sense. It was actually the process. But if you look at this, we have this book, and then here's a book on E6 excellence. It's like human resources that I was making a presentation, so I had to do research about it. There it is. Victoria Dreams. Here's another book. This is actually more of a novel. It's a romantic novel. It's got a little bit of comedy in there, romantic comedy. Then there's this book, which a few people out there have written to us recently about, Right Now, which helps you write a book in 90 days. There are other books around here. 90-day challenge.
For business, yes.
So we like organizing information and trying to present it.
How to.
How to do it.
How to do this, how to do this, how is methodology, how to do stuff.
So if you're saying what's the expertise I'd like to continue to grow in, is being able to present in a way that's interesting, that's entertaining and informative, that actually makes our audience say, hey, this was pretty cool, this was neat, this is what I needed for today, this is going to help me throughout the week, gave me something to think about, made me fall in love more with my partner.
Next question.
All right.
Okay, I guess that I remember. If you have a time machine and you can travel, you have just one option, or travel to the future or travel to the past. Which one you pick and why?
Like if I said past, how far would it be? Just before you ask that question?
Yes.
The only reason I would travel to the past is to relive the time I spent with you. Not the time that all the stuff I went through to meet with you. I could say, some people say, I want to be 18 again. You know what? Yeah, you could be 18 again because you'd have your whole life in front of you again.
No, but the point is, you don't want to be 18, so you want to travel. Maybe you travel to the...
just to see where you are.
See,
not
when
okay.
in the 100 years ago.
So not go back in time.
Dinosaur.
Okay.
Yes, you have the opportunity to travel to the future, to the past. You are the same age.
Okay, I'm the same age. I don't become 18.
No.
Because I don't want to immediately become 80 either. So I think one of the things maybe it's just I'd like to travel to year 2500 and just see if the future is the world still here. Okay. If the world's still here, it gives you like real good positive. Do we get to come back after that?
Yes.
Okay, if we can come back, I think the future is more like the past. You're not going to be able to. You can't change anything because it's the present, right? You can't change anything because otherwise it had already been changed. If in the future I go back to the past and change it, then this present would already be changed. It's a little confusing.
That's some movies. Yes.
So I'd like to just go to the future and make sure things are okay, because I could actually. Well, then again, if you see how it is in the future, you can't do anything to change it in the present. I guess it doesn't matter. I'd like to stay right here, right now with you.
Good answer.
Okay. After much contemplation.
Okay, next question is, what a question you were always afraid to ask me?
Question that I was always afraid to ask you. Will you marry me? No. That's an interesting question. What question would I be afraid to ask Lisett?
What is for dinner?
What's for dinner? No. Oh. Do you like this new car?
Okay.
So this is the one thing that we have, is that I grew up hiding things from my parents.
Like the girlfriend in the basement, in the fireplace.
Not in the fireplace. I didn't hide her in the fireplace. No. Yeah. Her name, you know what her name was? Ashley. She was really hot. And then they put out an Amber Alert. It was terrible. Wow.
Okay, wow. That is a good show.
It's a good show. Thank you.
Really.
So, but going back to the car thing, is as a child, like, I had motorcycles, but my friends had motorcycles, but I couldn't have a motorcycle because my parents didn't want me to have a motorcycle. How could I and I couldn't even ask them. Like, I couldn't say, hey, I'm interested in a motorcycle. So I ended up buying a motorcycle and keeping it at a friend's house. And then I'd go to my friend's house, Ralph. Hey, Ralph. And he knows who he is out there. And I kept my little, I think it was an SL70, Honda SL70, mufferless. It had
So they mean
cylinder head.
I need to look in for your friend's house because you have
I have all sorts of cars
and other house. I got you. Okay.
And Ashley is
and
there.
Ashley's there. Be careful, Ashley.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, keep going. So you hiding.
So it's not really asking you a question. Like, if I wanted to ask, hey, what do you think about me doing this? Like, if I feel like guilty about something, it's hard for me to ask you. And that is the one thing that has been the challenge, to upfront say, hey, I'm interested in, what do you think? Because, it's the criticism. So I think I felt like anything that I would open myself up for vulnerability, criticism, or you saying no. Because you say yes to so many things. I don't want to say no. And it's taken time, and maybe the next 20 years it will be even better, that things are much easier to ask now than when we first met. When we first met, I came from relationships which were really stressful in the sharing, in the being open. And so being open and honest with you has been a big difference in relationship. So the one thing that I would say is that if you can be open and honest as early on in a relationship as possible, like as you're meeting, and you can keep that going for the relationship, I think that is the best thing to do. So even though I do have some little doors that are hard to open, that most of them are now flung wide open. And Lisett sees me, which is really scary, but she sees me and knows who I am.
Yeah, and also has to explain to people why the car is the issue, because you can explain that you change car every 3 months.
6 months.
No, the last
every
one
90 days.
2 months and something like that.
Yeah,
so
okay.
yeah, so that is a little economy issue. So I try to keep the car maybe 6 months and not change every time. Okay, next question. How is with the time?
We've got plenty of time here. Okay. Oh, is that the question? How is the time?
Yeah.
Well, the time is a concept that was put in place by humans.
Okay,
Oh.
I got it.
Yes.
What is the crazy dream that you have ever had?
And I don't think this is crazy so much. I think it's in the book here too. It's a dream I shared with somebody when I had it, which I had this dream that I was walking up this path, and the path was a rocky path, and you'd go up to a hill, and you'd go down, and you'd go up, and whoever I was with, we were on this trek. We were on this trek to find something. And we were searching for, and I thought we were searching for this lake or this beautiful area. We thought we were going. Everything's black and white. And you're climbing over mountains and rocks, and you can feel the hill, and you can feel the effort. And so I remember this dream vividly, because I'm going up the hill, and you get to an area, then you have to go up the next hill, and you see that there's more and more hills. At some point, I turn back to where I came from, and the town is in full color. It's just beautiful. It's like looking back at Oz when it becomes color. You know, you see the golden roads and the rainbows and everything is just vivid and colorful. And this is where I wake up. And the thought is, oh my gosh, we're so busy looking for this heaven, you know, somewhere out there where we need to go, rather than recognizing that it's right here with us, with the people we know, with the people we met, with our community. And this is where we can have this, I guess, passion with each other, passion for our community. Our love can be shared. And if we can open ourselves up for that connection here, and I'll just say, make this a heaven on earth, rather than search for something that is unreachable until the very end.
Yeah.
Search for something that's here, right in front of you, your family, your friends, your community, the
That's
people
the
you
heaven.
interface.
So we are in the heaven.
We are.
Yeah.
It's the heaven we know.
Yeah.
It's the heaven we know versus the heaven we don't know.
That's a
Some
good
people may
message.
say it's the hell we know versus the hell we don't know. But this hell we can change as much as we can, right?
Yes, and this is it's your decision. So you have to put your mind to recognize how many good stuff that we have. We have so many good stuff. Okay, so what do
We're
you
getting
think?
we're getting to the end here.
One more
question
and
we're being
this is
asked.
done. So, do you have in the past some kind of blind date?
Blind date in the past. I have the fake blind date in the past. So I've been on, when I was prior to meeting you, actually this was prior in after my second marriage, prior to my third, I was on
I guess I know what you are expert in dating.
in dating. No, expert. I'm expert in not dating. So I remember meeting people that you would I'm not sure if it was Match.com or wherever you use. And for some reason, let me go backwards, because way back in 1991, before there was the internet, before the internet was a big thing, I remember you used to put an ad in the paper. So you would write, single guy looking for,
awesome.
Engineer looking for professional woman, the right type of profession, not a professional. And looking for Ashley, thank you.
Looking for Ashley.
Looking for Ashley and some timber. But you would then, the people you would meet in that situation would be blind dates, because you wouldn't see a picture. You would talk on the phone a little bit. The only way you could get a picture is if they sent you a picture.
Maybe your sister or your brother picture.
Yeah, here it is. But I remember you'd go and you'd have no idea. Like, you could have this great conversation, and you feel like, I feel connected to them, to their voice on the phone, and then you would get in front of them and they would be shocked by you and you'd be shocked by them, and then the dinner may not go or the date would not go as planned. So yes, I had been on multiple blind dates like that. Where they were through, the dating app was the newspaper. It was actually, putting an ad. And I remember this in Rockland County, New York, and a couple of dates that I had gone on there. And I remember one woman I had gone out with, and we had a decent time. We went to see Bram Stoker's Dracula with, trying to remember who it was, if it was...
Christopher something. Okay.
Anyway, we went to see the movie, we had dinner, and I remember her telling me that if we started dating, we had to do everything together. Like, we couldn't go anywhere by ourselves. Like, you couldn't go out with your friends anymore. We'd go out as a couple with others. And I'm like, holy mackerel. And so that's when you have to really be careful about your blind dates. And a nice person. But I remember something very profoundly that she told me about me pursuing passion. She said, don't quit your day job. So it was a very mean thing she said. She thought she was, I don't know what she thought she was being honest. But there's a difference between being honest and being careful and being caring in how you present something. So if somebody you know is working on something and they're trying really hard, be supportive. Don't ever tell them don't quit your day job. Mm-hmm. But you can always have a passionate side job like we do and still have your day job. But keep pursuing that passion, because that passion can give you a zest for life. It can give you a zest for wife. Mm-hmm. It can give you a kiss. Mm-hmm. Thank you for watching 90 Day Soulmate with Lisett
and Jim.
Have a great week.
See you.
You're listening to 90 Day Soulmate with the Relationship Engineers, Jim Gulnick and Lisett Guevara, only on LA Talk Radio.